Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. As we now enter October, we first look back at all the motorsport from the final weekend of September. Several champions were crowned and several championships came to an end for 2024. 2025 is drawing ever near, but today we are looking back at all the action from the World Rallycross from Chile, DTM from the Red Bull Ring, British GT and GB3 from Brands Hatch, European Le Mans from Mugello, NASCAR from Kansas, Formula Regional Europe and Euro Formula from Barcelona, and TCR Europe from Valencia. We will look at all the highlights, talking points, and my predictions from last Friday, so make sure you subscribe, and let's jump into this look at last weekend's motorsport.
So Thierry Neuville has an opportunity to back off a little bit and just hoover up points. So I don't think he'll win in Chile. Toyota need to bounce back after a couple of shocking rallies. And they've made some changes. Takamoto Katsuta is out, replaced by Sami Pajari, but all eyes will be on their main three drivers in Chile, and I think Kalle Rovanperä will take the win, ahead of Seb Ogier and Ott Tanak. Neuville will finish in the top 5, ahead of the returning Martin Sesks and Sami Pajari. No one else will finish in Chile, another rally that has proven to be tough for the competitors in the past, but this one will pass with Neuville still in the lead, holding a hand out to his main rivals.
World Rally Championship from Chile. After Thierry Neuville led a Hyundai 1-2-3 in Greece after Toyota's latest implosion, 3 sensible rallies from the Belgian would see him be champion. His closest challengers were Ott Tanak and Sébastien Ogier, and luck seems to be on Neuville's side. Ogier had a puncture on day 1, which sent him a long way behind Neuville. Thierry was still having to deal with road sweeping, but at least he was ahead of one of his rivals. Martin Sesk was back in action in Chile. Sadly, he also had issues on day 1 and retired. He was going to have to do 100% for Sunday points. Whilst Ott Tanak and Elfrid Evans fought for the lead, Grégoire Munster was putting in the performance of a lifetime, fighting for 5th with Sami Pajari in the Finns' second ever Rally 1 appearance. Esa-Pekka Lappi also had a puncture on day 1, so the first 6 stages saw plenty of incident. On to day 2, Esa-Pekka Lappi had more issues and came through missing the front of his car. He was going to be in for a tough day, holding off Adrien Fourmau and Seb Ogier behind him. But Ogier wouldn't be a problem. On stage 8, something went wrong with the Toyota and Ogier was out. It was a tough rally, the fog in some stages was incredibly thick, and yet everyone survived to the end of Saturday with Elfrid Evans and Kalle Rovanperä leading Ott Tanak and Thierry Neuville. And that was pretty much it. Kalle Rovanperä took the win as Toyota bounced back. Pretty disastrous for Ogier, who did score well on Sunday at least. Neuville does enough to keep teammate Tanak in check. The more interesting fight was in WRC2. Oliver Solberg was the class of the field again, but a puncture dropped him back and he put in maximum effort to get back up the field. It was only good enough for 4th, but he only just missed out on 2nd, gaining a minute on Nikolai Gryazin. 2 rounds left and we are back in Europe for the next one in a few weeks' time.
DTM from the Red Bull Ring, and I still can't believe Mirko Bortolotti hasn't won a race in 2024. He is one of the best drivers in the field, and yet the only Lamborghini wins have gone to Luca Engstler and Nicky Tim. Bortolotti must be due one at some point, so why not here at the penultimate weekend in Austria, although I don't think he's won on this track since 2013 in the Eurocup Megane Series. As for the other race, whilst Kelvin van der Linde is leading the championship and has won at the Red Bull Ring in recent years, i.e. last year's DTM race here, but I think he'll get caught up in a chaotic race too. A few of the top cars will retire from the race, and we'll see a first DTM win for Arjun Maini in the Mercedes. A good way to put a punctuation point on his best DTM season ever.
DTM from the Red Bull Ring, and the championship is incredibly close between the ever-consistent Mirko Bortolotti and Mara Engel, and the one who actually wins races, Kelvin van der Linde. Race 1 wasn't very interesting, some good battles in the midfield. Clemens Schmidt climbed the field on slicks on a very clever strategy, but dropped back by the end. Mirko Bortolotti took the win, like I said he would. His first of 2024, and that put him back into the championship lead. René Rast won race 2, although Arjun Maini was 3rd in both races. Bortolotti was 4th and finished ahead of both his main title rivals in both races. He has a 15-point lead going into the final round in Hockenheim in a few weeks' time.
British GT is a straight fight between the Barwell Lamborghinis, and as the Collards have a decent lead in the championship, they just need to finish in the top 5, which they have done at every race in 2024. Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin have to finish in the top 2 and hope something happens to their teammates. I think they'll finish 2nd, with the Phil Keen and Ian Loggy Mercedes finally taking the first win of the year, but the Collards will be up there somewhere and Rob and Rick will be champions in 2024.
The final round of British GT from Brands Hatch, the Barwell Lamborghinis were going one-on-one for the title. The race was punctuated by a couple of very long safety car periods, the second of which involved 3 cars in the gravel. This all helped Rob and Ricky Collard keep up with the front-running cars and make sure Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin couldn't get away. It was enough to secure the championship for the Collards. Rob's second British GT title. Lamborghini were unstoppable in 2024 in the hands of Barwell. Can they do it again in 2025?
As for GB3, Louis Sharp has started to pull away a little bit, but John Bennett and Timothy Kaharczyk can still be champion. I think Bennett will be the biggest challenge to overcome, and he'll take the win in race 1. But William McIntyre takes race 2 and JRG wins race 3. Meanwhile, Louis Sharp does just enough to take the championship from a very game John Bennett.
GB3 was also coming to an end at Brands. Lewis Sharp got hung out to dry at the start and dropped to 8th, but at least he survived, unlike Sean Rashid. Pretty quiet race until Jared Shee shoved it into the wall on the last lap. Mackenzie Cresswell took his second win of the year, but John Bennett and Timothy Kaharczyk did close the gap to Lewis Sharp in the championship. Sharp was on pole for race 2. Gerard Shee had another bad race, tangling with his teammate and James Headley at Druids. Lewis Sharp took the win, but the fight went down to the last race. Only Bennett could stop Sharp at this point, and a couple of crashes at the start of the final race of the year. Everyone went a little crazy. A couple of cars didn't make it past the opening straight, whilst Hugo Schwartz went backwards into Druids. Nikita Johnson won a pretty dull race 3, holding off former champion Callum Voisin, who was making an appearance at this final round. Lewis Sharp is the champion, and I think he deserves a shot at Formula 3 in 2025. Maybe John Bennett and Timothy Kaharczyk do as well. New car in GB3 for 2025, so we will see what difference that makes next year.
It is really tight in the LMP2 Championship, with the top 4 separated by just 17 points. Let's keep it nice and close, as it is the penultimate round, and go for a Panis Racing win. In LMP3 it's less close, with Euro International taking a 25-point lead into Mugello. Team Virage will win, but it's not really going to do much to close them up at this late stage. The GT class is exceptionally close, and anyone can still be champion, so let's go for a win for the GR Racing Ferrari. It'll be their first of 2024 if they manage it.
European Le Mans and 4 hours of racing from Mugello, Italy only took 15 minutes for our first crash. Andres Latour Cannon hitting the wall hard in the DKR car, so that was an early yellow. The race only had a few incidents after that. The IDEX Sport car was launched into the air after contact with a Ferrari. That ruined the 40-second lead Euro International had built up. After the halfway point, we had a massive crash for the Porsche of Claudio Schiavone, tapped into a spin by stablemate Rahal Frey. This huge crash brought the longest delay of the race because it was a red flag. Too many pieces on the track. We had an hour and 20 left after the red, and still we got more crashes. The LMP3 Cool Racing car got bumped into the tyres whilst Rahal Frey managed to hit someone else. It calmed down for the last hour. Strategies played out late on. Iron Lynx Proton took the win in LMP2, whilst a ballsy strategy paid off for Virage in LMP3, and Kessel Ferrari won in GT. Good race, some very long stoppages, but there were some good battles on track and interesting strategies. Run around left and all the classes are very close. Everything is still to play for.
NASCAR at Kansas at the Hollywood Casino 400. Kyle Larson dominated last week, but NASCAR is rarely won by the same driver 2 weeks in a row, so I'll go for Denny Hamlin, who last won in Kansas 5 years ago.
NASCAR from Kansas, the next stage of the playoffs. A couple of early crashes, even Kyle Larson got taken out just a week after his dominant display in Atlanta. There were quite a few incidents in this race. It looked like it was going to come down to Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain, but Busch crashed whilst trying to lap Chase Briscoe. Ross Chastain went on the win. Talladega this weekend.
Formula Regional Europe at Barcelona, and whilst the title contenders failed to score last week, Rafael Kamara still has a big lead in the championship. Tuukka Tarpinen needs a really good weekend, and he'll start it off with a win. Noah Stromstedt will win race 2, and whilst Tarpinen will close on Kamara slightly, he'll only have a slim chance of the championship going into the final round.
Formula Regional Europe from Barcelona, not a track known for overtaking, but in this series anything is possible. Not behind the safety car brought out by the stranded Pedro Claro, who didn't make it past turn 1. James Walton led from Tuukka Tarpinen and Rafael Kamara, and that's how it finished. Kamara doing exactly what he needs to do, play it safe and score the points. On to race 2, and Kamara was basically handed the title with Tuukka Tarpinen taken out in the first corner with a few others. James Walton won race 2 and Rafael Kamara won the Formula Regional Europe Championship. Not a great weekend of racing, but we have one more round to go. On Rafael Kamara, I'm not sold on him being a top talent. Of all the Brazilians in the junior formulas right now, he's the weakest of the good ones. Nothing on Gabriel Bortoleto.
I usually just say Brad Benavides will win all 3, but he keeps failing to do it, so he can have one, whilst Francesco Simonazzi can have another, and then a first ever win at this level for Edward Pearson, who looked very promising in his debut weekend, or at least as promising as you can look in Euro Formula.
Euro Formula, also from Barcelona, a field of 8 cars, which is a big field for Euro Formula. Brad Benavides won race 1, Francesco Simonazzi won race 2, and Vladislav Ryabov took his first win in race 3. Nothing exciting. I almost got 3 out of 3. Ed Pearson was second. Brad Benavides is champion. Congratulations to him. I wonder if he'll end up back in Formula 3. Possibly not.
I think we see another Honda win here, but this one for the returning Ruben Volz, with Franco Girolami winning race 2 and taking his second TCR Europe Championship. Aurelien Comte will be as consistent as ever, but just miss out, with Ignacio Montenegro in third, but closer than he's ever been.
Finally, let's end with the final TCR Europe races of 2024 from Valencia in Spain. Franco Girolami, Aurelien Comte and Ignacio Montenegro came in as the only ones able to win the championship. Boring race 1, Giovanni Scamardi parked in for gravel, so he got a safety car, but nothing changed and Franco Girolami took the win. Race 2 was also pretty boring, with a safety car in the middle of the race to recover Nicolas Boldan. Jimmy Claire won the race, but Franco Girolami won the championship. Boring series, glad it's over. So that was all the action from the past weekend. It was a bit of a bland weekend, and if I had to pick my favourite race of all of these, I guess the British GT. Even that had a lot of long stoppages. Let me know your race of the weekend in the comments below. This coming weekend we have British Touring Cars coming to an end at Brands Hatch. Brazilian Stock Car Pro is in Argentina. NASCAR is in Alabama. The Intercontinental GT Challenge comes to an end alongside the GT World Challenge America at Indianapolis. Nitro Cross is in Utah. Euro Cup 3 is at Jerez. And Euro 4 is at Monza. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the motorsport content incoming, including predictions on Friday. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching and have a good one.